¡Viva México! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva México!
The Grito de Dolores is one of the most important moments in Mexican history. So, this is a very important but quick lecture on Mexican independence. And when studying Mexican history, you should know the main players in the 1810 to 21 Mexican independence movement, like Agustin de Iturbide, first emperor; Vicente Guerrero, a military leader; Dona Josefa Ortiz de Dominguez, la Corregidora; José María Morelos y Pavon; Hermenegildo Galeana, Mexican soldier; Leona Vicaria, who supported many facets of independence; Igancio Allende, a famed military leader; and of course, the most famous patriot, Father Miguel Hidalgo. After 300 years of cruel Spanish colonialism and more than 100 failed independence attempts, it's Father Miguel Hidalgo that lights the torch of independence. Father Hidalgo y Costilla, more commonly just known as Father Hidalgo, was a priest. Born in 1753, he's from a family of wealth and educated at UNAM, the Autonomous University of Mexico in Mexico City. He became a priest, but was somewhat of a radical. This is a priest who drank alcohol, doubted his faith, doubted the virgin birth, ignores his church duties, began making wine, which was against Spanish regulations, promoted economic justice, and believed premarital sex was not a sin. He also read banned books, he danced and gambled, he challenged the Pope, he called the Spanish king a tyrant, and he had a mistress, and was concerned with earthly things like social and economic justice. He started a silk industry in Mexico by planting 80 mulberry trees, and also implemented beekeeping, tile making, carpentry, tanning, and other economic justice measures. He became a target of the church and was put before the Inquisition in Mexico. And as the Catholic Church does, they simply moved what they considered was a problem. He was sent to Dolores, Mexico. Now he takes his library with him and he started a book club with locals and the people we discussed earlier, including Igancio Allende. But he's ready for revolution. He's ready to rid Spain from Mexico. And they plot independence from Spain and set the date at December 8th, 1810. But someone snitches to the Spanish. Their weapons are found on September 13th. But instead of fleeing for their lives, they decide to fight. And with the banner of La Virgen de Guadalupe, Father Hidalgo rang the church bell at 2 in the morning on September 16th to speak to his parishioners and called for independence with his now famous El Grito de Dolores. Addressing his parishioners, Indios, Mestizos, and a group of prisoners released from jail, he called out, "My children, a new dispensation comes to us today. Will you receive it? Will you free yourselves? Will you recover the land stolen 300 years ago from your forefathers by the hated Spaniards? We must act at once. Will you defend your religion and your rights as true patriots? Long live Our Lady of Guadalupe! Death to bad government! And death to the cachopines!" Now this revolutionary army was a motley crew. Although mostly Indios and Mestizos, they were people from all walks of life. They soon won impressive victories in San Miguel, Celaya, Zacatecas, San Luis Potosí, Valladolid, y Guanajuato. which ransacked the city, costing 500 dead Spanish defenders and more than 2,000 revolutionary, mostly Indios, killed at Guanajuato. The Independence Army had swelled to more than 81,000 as they approached Mexico City and split into two groups, led by Father Hidalgo and Allende. And at the Battle of Monte de las Cruces, Hidalgo's army crushed the well-equipped Spaniards. But what was likely a tactical error, Hidalgo retreated from the city, even against the objection of Allende, and the war dragged on for 11 years. They were ambushed in Coahuila, captured, and were marched in chains. Igancio Allende was executed. Hidalgo was also captured, but because he was a priest, he was first processed through the Holy Office of the Inquisition, found guilty of heresy and treason. He was defrocked and turned over for execution. On July 30th, 1811, Hidalgo was executed by firing squad. He was decapitated, and his head was put on a pike in Guanajuato at the Alhóndiga de Grandetitas, because that's what the Spanish did. Enter Jose Maria Morelos y Pavon, who was another priest and a dark-skinned mestizo. He rallied his troops by invoking Mexico's Mesoamerican past, invoking Moctezuma and the last Mexica Emperor Cuauhtémoc, reminding them what evils the Spanish did to Mexicans for 300 years, and it was time to avenge Spain's shameful and brutal colonization of their motherland. Sadly, in 1815, like the independence leaders before him, Morelos was captured and executed.
Preparen. Apunten. Fuego.
Enter Guadalupe Victoria and Vicente Guerrero, who mostly led a few thousand men in guerrilla hit-and-run tactics that were very successful, but never won any major victories. So enter Agustin de Iturbide. Born in 1783 as a Criollo, Agustin was originally pro-Spanish and actually fought against Hidalgo in 1810 and against independence for a decade. He was given a Spanish army of 2,500 men in 1820, but now favored independence and proposed peace with Vicente Guerrero, who was not entirely convinced. Their meetings developed into the 1821 Plan de Iguala. The plan stated that Spain had done a great and heroic job in the Americas, whatever. But after 300 years, it was time for Mexican independence. The Plan de Iguala had 23 articles, but the most important articles were: 1. Mexico would be an independent nation, but as a constitutional monarchy. 2. Mexico would remain a Catholic country. 3. Criollos y Peninsulares would be treated as equals, and the caste system would be abolished. To secure these articles, a new army was created, the Ejército de las Tres Garantías, or the Army of the Three Guarantees, under the authority of Iturbide's command. When Mexican independence battles were won throughout Mexico, and the highest ranking Spanish official in New Spain recognized Mexican independence, the war for independence was over. Iturbide entered Mexico City in September 1821 as a hero, received golden keys to the city, and the 11-year Mexican Independence War was over. Iturbide became the first emperor, but Mexico was free from Spain. Viva Mexico! And Mexico was a brand new nation, and they will have their own problems, including being invaded by the United States of America on multiple occasions, and having 55% of its land stolen by the United States. But that's another story. Thanks so much for watching this. Have a great day, and Viva Mexico!